In this video, we're going to be going over a graphical method for representing quantitative data called a stem and leaf plot. And for our example here, we're going to be using the ages of the men who won Wimbledon from 1970 through 1990. And to create our stem and leaf plot, we're going to need to take our data and break it out into stems and to leaves. So the way that we do that is we take the most significant digit, or maybe the most significant several digits, and we're going to count that as our stem. So basically our base for our number. And then our leaf is going to be generally the least significant digit for our number. So for example, we'll take 24 as an example. So we have our 24, and we break it down in half and say that this 2 here is our stem. So we would put 2 in the stem, and 4 is our leaf. So we would break that down and put a 4 over here as our leaf. So this is generally what our stem and leaf plot is going to look like. We have our stems over on the left with a line separating them from their leaves, and we put all of our different data points in their corresponding stems and leaves. So let's take our data here and create a stem and leaf plot. So if we look at our data, we have values ranging from 17 at the low end up through 31 at the high end. So we have 10s, 20s, and 30s for our stems. So we're going to put a 10, 20, and 30. And then we have a line here that breaks them down from the leaves. However, we have several different data points here, and it's going to be hard to kind of see what the real pattern is with just using 3 stems. So instead, we can actually change our stems a little bit. So we're going to change our stems. Instead of just having 1 for each of the 10s values, we're going to put 2 of the different values in there for that. So we're going to have 2 1s, 2 2s, and 2 3s. And the way they're going to break down the values for these different stems is our first one is going to be going from 10 up through 14. Our second one is going to go from 15 up through 19. And then we have 20 up through 24, 25 up through 29, 30 up through 34, and finally 35 up through 39. And now we're going to draw our line separating our stems from our leaves, and we're just going to walk through and put each of our different data points in their corresponding rows. So as we walk through, we have 24, so we put a 4 here in the 24 row. So remember, this row goes from 20 to 24, so we just put a 4 over here, which signifies a 2 in the 10s column and a 4 in the 1s column, so we have a value of 24. And we just keep walking through and doing that for all of our different data points. So we have a 21, so we do the same thing, and we put a 1 here for our stem, or for our leaf. We have a 2, so we have a 2 leaf, and again our 2 stem, and we just keep going for all of our different data points. So we have an 8 for 18, 22 and 24, so we put a 2 and a 4, 22 and 24 again, so another 2 and another 4, 23, so we put a 3, 17, so we put a 7 again in this 15 through 19 row, so again signifying 1 and 7 for 17, so we have 22 and 21, so we'll put another 2 and a 1, and then we have 20 and 21, so 0 and 1, 25 and 29, so we're going to come down here to this new row for the 25 through 29, and we put a 5 and a 9 in there, 31 and 27, so we have 31 and 27, 25 and 27, so we have a 5 and a 7, and our last one here is 26, so we put a 6 in here. Now generally for stem and leaf plots, we like to actually order the leaves so that we can see what the pattern that really is in the data. So for our first one here, we have our 18 and we have 17, so that one's pretty easy to organize. We'll just put our 7 first and our 8 second. So we'll have 17 and 18. For our second row here though, it's a little bit more challenging. Let's change our color here to make this a little bit easier to work with. So we're going to have 1 0. We have 1, 2, and 3 1s. So 1, 2, and 3. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 2s. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 2s. Looks like we have 1 3. We have 1, 2, and 3 4s. So we have 1, 2, and 3 4s. So now we'll just erase this data here and put in our appropriate data sorted so that it's just a little bit easier to see what the data actually looks like. So we're going to change our color back to green so that we can stay consistent. So we have 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4. So as you can see, it makes it a little bit easier to understand what the different ranges are for the, or different ages are for the people. We had 1 20-year-old, 3 21-year-olds, 4 22-year-olds, and so on. We do the same thing for our data here. We have 1 2 5s, 1 6, 2 7s, and a 9. So again, we have 2 5s, a 6, 2 7s, and a 9. So we'll get rid of our original data here and put it down back in order. So we have 5, 5, 6, 7, 7, and a 9. And then we're all done with this information here because we now have our data all sorted and organized. So this is how our stem and leaf plot is going to look. We have our most significant digit or most significant digits generally on the left column, and we can break that down in different ways if we want to. And then we have generally our least significant digits over here on the right, where we put down each of those values corresponding with each of our data points from the original data set.